The 2023 Jetta GLI is one of those cars that can be fun but still practical. Today, this GLI Autobahn combines fun driving dynamics, decent space inside, and an overall practical sedan. Today, we're going to take a full detailed look at the exterior, the interior, and get it out on the road for a test drive. Let's get started. Now, a quick look at the exterior. There's only the Autobahn trim for this new refresh, and it's got subtle updates from last year with this specific GLI grille, bumpers, and trim. You're gonna get LED daytime running lights and headlights up front, and even LED turn signals. This one comes in the pure gray paint with the GLI black package, so you've got black accents, we've got these black wheels, the mirrors, trim, and I think it looks pretty nice. It's gonna come with a sport suspension, the DCC adaptive chassis to adjust the suspension firmness. And this is actually a fairly large small car at about 187 inches long. Then in the back, LED taillights, the sport exhaust with dual chrome, and it's larger for 2022 and up. Now the cargo space for the Volkswagen is quite good. You can open it from inside, you can push a button back here, and I like that it pretty much automatically pops up. It's actually quite convenient. And even though the hinges will come down and sort of get in the way, this is a spacious trunk. I mean, with a standard size backpack, big suitcases or small suitcases, you can fit a lot back here. This is a great size trunk, and it's a practical size because of just how wide the wheel wells are. Volkswagen also gives us a spare tire down here, which is great. And one of my favorite things with Volkswagen, extremely convenient if you live somewhere where your vehicle's always dirty. Instead of touching the trunk lid and getting dirt on your fingers all the time, it's got a little lip right here. You can pull that and then just drop it down. Now Volkswagen is going to give us the Smart Key standard. You have remote start with the automatic transmission, and you can still open up your trunk. So the way it works, there's no sensors. You just use this button to lock it or to unlock it, and the remote start works pretty well too. Then as we hop inside and take a look at these seats, these are some Vienna Comfort Sport leather seats. They are quite comfortable for the most part as well. You've got this red contrast stitching in the red perforations in here as well. Even though this is perforated, there's no ventilation on these seats, but I like the bolstering. It's got a good amount of bolstering, a perfect amount for a car like this, down here on the thighs as well. Plus you have memory settings. The one disappointment to me though is we have two-way lumbar, which is fine, but you don't have any tilt adjustment. You only have height adjustment, so you can't tilt the front part of the seat up or down. The steering wheel is tilt and telescoping, and it's got a good amount of range. It is not heated though, but we will have heated seats in that first button right there, although no ventilated seats. For this top trim, I was expecting maybe a heated steering wheel or ventilated seats, but they're still fairly comfortable. The center part of the back, your thoracic spine area, is a little bit protruded more than some. I kind of like it. Maybe you won't. You're probably going to want to check it out for yourself. Now the back seat of the Volkswagen is a little more practical and spacious than some might expect for a more compact type of car. So those of you that are parents, first of all, the anchors are very easy to get to for car seats. With just a base and a standard car seat, I can't fit it behind myself where I like to sit, but let me show you how I fit. So I'm 5'9", and this is where I like to have my seat at 5'9". I have it low, pretty much all the way down, and I can still get my feet under there, so that's great. The door is just a bunch of hard plastic up here, not bad for a car in this class, and then you still get a massive bottle holder. There are no air conditioning vents back here. You have to rely on everything from the front. And sitting up tall, I can sit here, I can kind of feel my poofy hair touching a little bit, but for a vehicle this size and the more compact, little bit smaller than mid-size class, it's still plenty spacious and probably good enough to haul a family around. Right in the middle, there's still a fold-down armrest with some decent-sized cup holders and soft padding. All right, now as we hop inside the interior of this Jetta GLI, for 2023, nothing really changes. So I'm gonna be pretty quick with this because I just went over a 2022. One of the things that I really don't care for are these touch type of buttons on the steering wheel. They're very easy to inadvertently touch. They're just not as practical as like real buttons in my opinion, but let me know down below if you would prefer that or something else. Now one thing I want to point out is if you have the manual version, Volkswagen gives you excellent bottle holders or cup holders over here, so you don't have to worry about that getting in the way. I mean, even a huge mug like that can fit in there. It's awesome. You've got some leatherette on the door panel, semi-soft material here, and a good grab handle right there. The steering wheel is tilt and telescoping right here, and it's got a good range of motion. It's really bulky too. I like this big bulky grip up here. You know, the angular design from Volkswagen, aside from the touch buttons right there. For the automatic, you will have little tiny paddle shifters back here. We'll go through those and check them out in the test drive. And then they all get this digital display. So this is a different digital cockpit than the previous refresh model, but compared to what you're used to, everything is still very similar. I mean, you still have the same kind of information. You can change the view overall. Give yourself some clusters. Depending on what type of information you want to have, you can have that front and center, or you can even go through a few of these different things too. So a lot of information you can have on here, makes it really nice to use. To my surprise, the GLI does not come standard with a head-up display. So if you're looking for that, it's not in here, but you've got a nice injection molded, a soft dash up here, and the same kind of, simplistic design from Volkswagen. So right here, the one thing that surprises me is this is an 8-inch screen, where a lot of vehicles nowadays are going to larger screens, but it is integrated into the dash. This does have a wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that's nice, paired with a wireless charging mat down there too. Just like other Volkswagen models, this has the gesture control, so when your hand gets close enough, the icons will pop up. And there's a lot of different customization that you can do in here. You can adjust your vehicle settings, audio settings. Speaking of audio, this does come with the Beats audio system, and it doesn't sound as good as I was expecting it to, but it's not bad either. If we go into reverse, you will have this backup camera. It does not give you movable dynamic lines though, which is a little bit surprising. So if you turn the wheel, it doesn't move. There's going to be dual zone climate control down here with all of your controls. I like how this is all still physical for controls, but down there, wireless charging or storage area, and then 2 USB-C charging ports right down there. And then very similar, very familiar console right here with the shifter. We've got the auto stop start you can shut off, your drive mode controls right here, electronic parking brake. There's no brake hold button, which is a little surprising, but Volkswagen still gives us this little storage cubby and some good sized cup holders right here. Unlike the GTI, this is not a ratcheting armrest. It just goes up and down, but it's a good sized space in there with an extra USB charging port. Overhead, we get an automatic dimming rearview mirror right there. And then another thing is that we've got what Volkswagen calls their pano sunroof. It's not panoramic, but it is bigger than what some are, and it's almost see-through. Not a big fan of that if it's really hot outside or really bright outside, but you can open it up and then you have this. Now under the hood, we get 1 engine options and 2 transmission options. So you can get an automatic, the 7-speed DSG, which is what we have here, or a 6-speed manual, which I drove last time. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. The one thing is, this is front wheel drive only. I wish we could get an all-wheel drive, but you might have to go up to the Golf if you want to do that. Now, specs wise, this is a direct injected 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder with 228 horses and 258 pound-feet of torque. And miles per gallon is pretty good at 30 combined. For this much power, not too bad. This does come with the VAQ limited slip differential, so that should help us out with our traction. Let's get it out on the road. All right, y'all, we are now behind the wheel in this Jetta GLI, and I can't wait to tell you what it's like to drive. So we're gonna talk about the overall driving impressions, the acceleration, the way this automatic dual clutch transmission handles things, and just what it's like to daily drive this. Now, I have driven the manual transmission, and it's fun to drive. It's easy to drive too, if you want to check that out in the description below. But first impressions is this is a nice, smooth, smaller car, but still has good punch to it. So this dual clutch also doesn't feel like some dual clutches where they're very jerky, very manual transmission-esque on a beginner. This one doesn't feel like that. If you didn't really think about it or know, you probably wouldn't even realize it is a dual clutch. It's quite smooth. Just cruising along, basic speed right here, just a little pedal down. It takes a minute to get down, but then we get some torque coming out pretty early. That torque is the big thing with this turbo, definitely something that is pleasant. And we have the adaptive chassis here, and we can control things, this drive modes and all that down here with this button. I'll go through that. Right now we are in normal mode. I'm gonna put us in comfort mode. There's also eco and your own customized mode. So comfort mode right now, the handling on here is a good amount of firmness, but also relaxing type steering too. It's not totally numb like a lot of cars this size. And the ride comfort in here is still good too. I mean, this is a little bit of a bigger car than what most compact cars are, and it's a comfortable ride. I don't think any of you are really going to complain about the ride comfort here. It's not like you have huge wheels or anything either, but it just handles well. going over some bumps and some dips, like on this bridge. Some vehicles, you feel the bumps quite a bit. The Jetta, it's not bad at all. All right, y'all, I just put us in sport mode and the gauge cluster turns red. The RPM's automatically kicked up. So I'm excited to show you what this is like. Do you hear the sound? I mean, this lets in a fair amount of sound as well. It's kind of surprising, a little bit more than I was expecting. So you've got that sporty sound that it'll let in when you really get on it. And when you're accelerating, you know, into a corner or with the wheels turned, you definitely can tell you got a front wheel drive vehicle. I wish we could get this in all-wheel drive, but you do feel some pull with that. And just slowing down right here, it automatically downshift fairly aggressively. So you can pull down on the gear selector to go into like a manual mode, move it over, or a sport mode, move it over, go into manual mode, and just listen to that. Wow, that's pretty loud. So I'm in fourth gear now. Downshift, that was actually quite quick. You have the paddle shifters too. You can use your gear selector, upshift, quick there as well. I'm gonna downshift again. That was quick. You can definitely feel the torque coming out of here. So the GLI is fun to drive. I mean, you stomp on it, you get not only do you get some noise, you get some torque, and it's fairly quick. I mean, and it's nimble enough for a car this size. One thing to keep in mind, this has the radar-based cruise control. You've got a lane keeping system. You've got blind spot indicators in here. So you've got all the safety features, the automatic braking, things like that in this GLI as well. One note though is that the road noise, it lets in some road noise in here. You know, you don't expect a whole lot in a car of this class or this price, but something to keep in mind. Ergonomics wise, I'm comfortable in here. You've got good functionality down here. Even if you have a manual transmission, it's comfortable to drive as well. The drive modes are easy to select and change, unlike some vehicles. And this gauge cluster gives you a ton of different information. The steering wheel is comfortable too. It's a very well-rounded small car. So to wrap things up on this 2023 Jetta GLI, I've driven the manual before. This one's the automatic. They're both fun. It really depends on which one you want. But if you're looking for a sedan, something that still has decent space and is fairly fun to drive, the Jetta GLI is a great option. I'd love to know what you think down below. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be super helpful. Subscribe for more and let me know what you think of this Jetta GLI. Have a great day.